promise that after that we will finish the meeting. I might need to check with you, Joe, around these things that have been added. Are we able to agree the priorities today on the basis of that sort of point that there's a few things added, or do me and you just need to catch up outside of the meeting before we bring the priorities here?
So this is how far we got with making the priorities much more tangible and real to service users and carers. And I don't know what Natalie has contributed, so I don't know, in addition to these, what Natalie thought we should be adding. So this is as far as we got with the actions for 23-24 and 24-25. Jordelle, did you get any feedback from Samina before she left on any additions to this?
No, so I'll have to follow up and bring it back to the meeting.
Okay. Can I suggest that we have a look at it now and see what people think about it, about what we're suggesting, and any additions that Natalie's brought in we can add afterwards. It would be a shame if we didn't look at them now.
Sure. Right, I think you could all sort of see what's on the screen there. So 2023-24 actions. Is there anything?
Shall I just say a couple of things about it? So we wanted to make them much more tangible. So if you can just have a look at it. So the first one was really about sharing good practice across the partnership. So there's some really fantastic things going on in Barnet, Enfield and Haringey and Camden, Islington that we could share across, and it's to make sure that everything we do going forward is a partnership. We have the accessible information standards that we really need to encourage and share with our EBEs and our service users who contribute to the accessible information standards, and we really need to be thinking about how that is rolled out. We've said that we would roll out training on quality improvement for our EBEs and our service users who are involved, so that we can train people up to that standard. And then we also said that mystery shoppers is a really valuable way of reviewing services and taking feedback, so we wanted to do that. We'd have to identify a lead. And our interpreter service has had a lot of feedback and accessibility issues raised with us, and we wanted to bring that in here so that we can have influence around how that's done. And then obviously the patient and carer race equality framework, which will have a lot of work that falls out underneath that, and Jordelle has taken the lead on that. And then the state of inequality report action plan. I wondered, Jordelle, do you think the state of inequality report action plan should sit here, or just an update on it here? Because that's what we've done. We've amended the action around it.
To be honest, with the State of Inequalities action plan, there are a number of areas that need to be taken forward. So I think perhaps the specific action, so for example, the Accessible Information Standard Review, that's from the State of Inequalities report, and that's being fed into here. So I think perhaps to keep it manageable, if, the top three priorities, so we've already got, as I said, the Accessible Information Review, the Patient and Carer Race Equality Framework, and then there's some national work on people detained under the Mental Health Act, and there's a quality improvement being led by the head of Mental Health Act law. And so I think, again, that perhaps if we just took those three as specific priority areas to bring into this group, and then form some work streams around that. So again, we could do mystery shopping on people detained within, the Mental Health Act on a specific ward to look at, are they getting advocacy? So I think once that action plan's been agreed and signed off at the latest board, then we take those top three areas and we can get some real tangible actions going to specifically be overseen by this group.
Okay. Thank you. Johnny?
I would be very much interested in that also. So as the patient's lead at Highgate, my role is to inspect all the wards at Highgate, and we liaise with service users regularly. So we deal with things like advocacy. If they don't understand what their section is, we kind of explain it to them, and we tell them what their legal rights are. So I introduce that to the other boroughs and the one in Haringey. You're all welcome to come along and have a look and see what we do. There's a team of service users who work closely with me. So we inspect the walls and liaise with the patients, and if I can get involved with that, I'd be more than happy to do so. So thank you.
Great.
That's a great example of good sharing good practice across the partnership, isn't it?
I was going to, perhaps, Johnny, it might be useful if you've got a minute. Are you able to hang around just after this meeting? I think, yeah, I know the meeting for that is coming up soon, so it would be great to get your availability.
Okay, so just some feedback from the rest of the group. Are these things that we think that we should be spending our time on this year, or should we revert to Jardell's suggestion of just having 3? To be honest, I think that if Natalie's adding things to it, just having 3 is not something that we're going to be able to get away with.
I think we all need to kind of link physical health with mental health. I'm also involved with an organisation called Islington Borough User Group. So we run a helpline for our service users who are housebound, for example, who simply can't get out. So if we can link physical health and mental health together, that'd be a way forward. But also the LGBT plus community is crucial, and we need to get that involved. And again, I work closely with Outcome, which is a service in Islington that provides LGBT plus support for our service users. So yeah, I think I don't think everything is there, and I think we certainly need to add to this. Sorry, I didn't put my hand up, so apologies. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think you've made a really good point there, and I was just thinking that maybe that State of Inequalities action plan should be able to give us a little bit more information. So I do realize that Samina was not able to share that at this meeting today, but it would be helpful when we look at the State of Inequalities report at the next meeting, because then we can then pick up some of those other areas that we need to be able to look at, because it looks at a broader picture than just maybe PICRIF, which is very specific. So let's look at that action plan and obviously think about what else we need to add. I'll go to Anna Marie and then Jill. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to give an update on 2 of the actions, the Accessible Information Standard and the work around translation and interpretation, just to let you know that there is some kind of background work already underway, and there will be a first meeting this Wednesday of the Accessible Information Standard Review Group. And there have been other meetings behind the scenes with the leads around the recording, data recording. And also in terms of the translation interpretation services, there is the kind of contract review going to take place, as much as the policy for the partnership and other work. So there are action plans already prepared by myself for the translation interpretation services related work, as well as work related to Accessible Information Standard. So if there are any future updates, if there is anything agreed at those other meetings that are becoming more kind of formal in nature, then I will bring this to this group and provide relevant updates. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think it's really, really good to hear that some of this work is already in progress. So clearly, once we've agreed these priorities, the next thing is actually to agree how do we actually go about delivering on these priorities. So it's great to know that work is already happening, which is really helpful. Jill?
Thanks, Prosper. I put my suggestion in the chat. It's just a small one, and it was just responding to the point around number of priorities. And I thought I heard colleagues say that the review of the Accessible Information Standards is falling out of, I think it was the State of Equality report. but it could be that we could link them together and just that might help reduce them down and provide a hierarchy if there's sub-items falling out of the two key bottom ones. So it just might be how we're describing them.
Yeah, thanks for that. And it does, I mean, looking at all those priorities, it looks like these are really the right areas for us to focus on. And certainly, yes, we might just need to link them up a little bit so that we don't end up with a long list, as you say. That's really helpful. Thank you. And George, do we need to look at the 24-25 as well?
Yeah,
so
if we could, yeah.
Just if we can, yes, thank you.
It was just a few things that we thought we would roll over to next year. So it was just looking at the service user experience, and it says as per document attached, and there was a document attached to the original priority, so I'm sorry for that. But we can say a bit more about that. EBEs involved in service user improvement programs. Now that's something that lots of service users and EBEs have said that they're really interested in, and we need to try and formalise that a bit more. So that could be a kind of rolling programme of service user improvement programmes, service improvement programmes that service users and EBEs would be involved in. And then there was a more intensive piece of work to prepare our EBEs and our service users for joining meetings, for participating in review programmes and improving access to services. And it's really about us to think with Cedric and Casey about how we might do that, because it's really about preparing people a bit more. People are willing to contribute, but it's often we're not ready to receive them into the group because we're using jargon and we're heavily weighted agendas. So it's a bit of learning for us as well. So preparing the service users for contributions is something that we can talk to Cedric and Casey about doing